Senator Chris Murphy is a Democrat from Connecticut. He spoke to the crowd at the D.C. No Kings rally on Saturday, and he joins me now. Senator, first, I just got to get your reaction to the reporting from the Times today, and we got the president responding to it a little bit about he's going to have his Justice Department settle $230 million with himself.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously absolutely. Yeah. Listen, what he's doing is sort of changing the Overton window every single day in terms of what is deemed acceptable corruption in this country. I mean, this is an extraordinary moment because every single day he does something that is more brazenly corrupt than the next. He has monetized the White House in a way that we would have never imagined. He has doubled or tripled his wealth while he's been president. And the way in which he's doing this, kind of makes it difficult for us to have a comprehensive, meaningful conversation about any of it, because as soon as we've started a conversation about the way in which he is using the White House to make millions of dollars off of Trump's crypto coin, he is then moving on to a new corruption like this one, essentially putting his hand into the Treasury and scooping out money to pay false claims. It's really an extraordinary moment, given the fact that every single day the corruption and the brazenness of it gets worse. But yes, you had 7 million people out on the streets. That's almost 2-3% of the American public, which shows you that people are noticing, that people aren't forgiving this, that this isn't becoming normalized. But it's going to take that kind of sustained mobilization over the course of the rest of this year and next year to keep the democracy alive, so that once we have a chance to go to the polls, we can make sure that at least he doesn't have as many enablers around him in Congress.
In the grand scheme of everything that is being done, and particularly in the context of these, what appear to all the world to me like extrajudicial killings, the knocking down the East Wing is not like anywhere near as morally significant. But I wonder if you had the same. I've just had encountered for myself and other people. There was really something visceral about those images that landed. I wonder if you or other colleagues or other people you're talking to have had that same reaction.
No, listen, there's a lot of history that has taken place in the East Wing, and it was just destroyed without any conversation in the American public, without any consent of Congress. It was absolutely illegal. And yeah, that visual is powerful because you are essentially watching the destruction of the rule of law happen as those walls come down. It is just a symbol about how cavalier he is about every single day acting in new and illegal ways. That's the story with the killings in the Caribbean as well. The president just doesn't believe that any law applies to him, that he can destroy federal property, that he can steal from American citizens, that he can kill with impunity, that he can throw anyone in jail. We are not living in a functional democracy any longer. It's not too late to save it, but it is just important to acknowledge that we aren't on the precipice of losing our democracy. We are losing it every single day. We are not a functional nation with a rule of law any longer, and those toppled walls in the East Wing are a pretty stark reminder of that.
So we're talking to you, and I don't know what day it is, 18 maybe of the government shutdown. I think somewhere around there. I've admittedly lost track. And, one of the weird juxtapositions is all of these things are happening against the backdrop of the shutdown, right? And the shutdown is, at one level, partially normal politics. I've covered many shutdowns in my life. The president and Congress, and they can't reach an agreement about appropriations. But it's also happening during this extraordinary time. And I wonder, there's talk about maybe the beginnings of negotiations happening. And Ron Johnson's going to do a bill to pay federal employees. And I think you have some bill that Democrats are going to propose. Is there any progress on the shutdown in terms of negotiation? And is it can you have any progress if he just continues to say he can spend any money he wants and doesn't have to spend money that's appropriated and he gets to do whatever he wants to do?
Well, you've covered a lot of these shutdowns. I've been through more than I wish to remember, but this one does feel fundamentally different in that there is no negotiation happening, primarily because the House Republicans are boycotting Washington. I mean, I've never, ever seen anything like this.
Yeah, it's wild.
The government is shut down, and you have the House Republicans in the Witness Protection Program, and you have the Senate Republicans refusing to even sit down at the table to negotiate. You need Democratic votes to pass a budget. Everybody's known that. That's been the rule in the Senate for years, and so it requires a negotiation. But Republicans aren't even talking. Why? Because they are living in the shadow of Donald Trump, who believes that he's a king, who believes that he doesn't have to obey any law or work with anybody in order to run the country. So this is a very, very different moment. Now, just a word on Ron Johnson's bill. Senator Johnson's bill says that government workers can be paid if Donald Trump chooses for them to be paid. Right. It doesn't pay all government workers. It just gives Donald Trump the power to pay whoever he wants and to not pay whoever he wants. Donald Trump would love that power. He would love the power to be able to say, if you're nice to me, you get paid. If you're not nice to me, you don't get paid. That, frankly, is maybe the most kingly-like power that Congress could ever grant him. So my hope and belief is that Democrats will not vote for that this week, because that would essentially be handing him despotic powers willingly.
Final question for you on precisely these sort of assertions of kingly power and, you know, the Congress power of the purse. We're ponying up $20 billion of Treasury money to the Argentine right-wing leader who he's buddies with to essentially prop up the currency. Scott Bessent is trying to rally another $20 billion in private money, although that might not come through. So who knows, maybe more Treasury money on the hook. It's not really working that well if you look at currency markets. It has nothing to do with American interests, as far as we can tell. It's probably hurting American farmers. And I've even seen a little bit of dissension from the non-usual suspects, including Republican senators, about what exactly is going on here.
Yeah, so why is he doing this? I think it's likely that a bunch of his billionaire friends, including probably somebody close to Scott Bessent, are going to make a lot of money off of this bailout. So that might be the simplest explanation. Yeah. Basically, everything Trump does is for his billionaire friends. But second, I think he's sort of not satisfied with being just king of the United States. He wants to be king of the world. And so, you know, what he's doing here is sort of dangling this money in front of Argentina and saying, you can get it, but only if you elect my friend. And if you elect anybody else, this money is not there for you. And so these exceptional king-like powers that he's using domestically, he's now sort of workshopping internationally. It's breaking precedents. It's not in American interest. And by the way, it shouldn't be lost on people that for the amount of money that we're about to send to Argentina, we could settle the shutdown, pay to make sure that the premium increases don't go up on 22 million Americans. But he's not using that money on us. Yeah. He's using that money overseas to help one of his right-wing buddies.
That's a good point, Senator Chris Murphy, Connecticut. Thank you.